In this video we'll talk about the power lines. Power lines, as you see here, they look like trend lines, but they are not. You'll see green lines and you see red lines. Let me explain. It's pretty straightforward. Looks like a pretty straightforward because I made it look like that. In fact, there are a few factors that are embedded inside. Let me explain. Let's go to the study. And this is a 15-minute chart for the Euro US. Click on the study power lines. And you see there's the green for the resistance, the red it's down, which indicates support. But you see the width is 0. So if I just make it something like this visible too, on the green as well, make it 2. So this will explain the whole project or the whole study. If I press OK, apply, okay. Now you see where these power lines are coming from. Power lines are connecting lines between all these dots. And what are these dots and where do they come from? And you notice some of the dots are not producing lines, such as this one. Why is that? It's all in the setting. This dot get produced when you have a fractal. A fractal, of course, there's another factor that I embedded into this, which is the order flow. So a fractal is when you have a high, for example here, this is a high, followed by at least two previous candles that have lower highs, lower high, lower high, or produced after at least 2 highs on the other side that both have lower highs. So you have to have at least 2 lower highs on each side. See, lower high, lower high, lower high. This has 4, this has 2, 3 on each side. Same thing with the down. You have 2 higher lows on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So at least 2. That produces a fractal line. Of course, some of these are not valid because I also embedded the order flow that I embedded inside. It's a complicated indicator, but it makes it even stronger. Now, why do we have a line here, a dot here that is not connected to this one or this one? Simply because there's a setting. You don't want to get all of them produced because it will create a web that you don't like. For example, if I go to studies, I click on it, double click on it, and let's see the settings and inputs. So if I have one of these lines get breached by more than 50 ticks or pips, it will cancel it. It will cancel that. Let me explain. So at one point there was a line, for example, from here to here there was a line. So let me go to tools and get the line array. So there was a line between here and here. This is my own produced line. Now at one point this line here got cancelled. Why? Because at one point the candle, not this one of these candles broke this line and closed by 50 ticks or 50 pips above this line, so it gets cancelled. You get the point. And now for you to have more power or more correct lines, you can reduce it. You can reduce it to, for example, here we have 50. I'll reduce it to 25. Apply. Okay. Now you have less lines because now even when the market breaks the upper line by or closes above it by 50 or 25 ticks or pips, it cancels. And same thing with the down. If I have a line, if I have a dot here, for example, there's a dot here, as you see, this dot. For at one point, the line that created between this dot and this dot was cancelled. As you see, it touched it here, it bounced, and then at one point it cancelled because this candle closed at least 25 pips below this line, so it got cancelled. And by the way, it was red at that time, right? So you get the idea. And how do I benefit from these? These are very important lines. I use them on multiple charts. If I show you the 987 tick chart, it looks very busy, but of course at one point you will reduce. Okay, so I put it on, for example, if you want to do it the same, I put it on a 15, 30 and 60 minute charts, and the setting should be all the same. So the setting should be studies, power lines, 25 if you want. If you want to see more, you can for a bigger picture, maybe for an hourly chart, you can add more or on the daily you can add more. Example, I'll show you an example. I'll go to my 60-minute chart, I duplicate the chart, I'll make it a daily chart. There's your daily chart right here. And you see maybe there's not enough power lines, so you can add more. I can go to studies, I click on it, I make it 100. So if a bar is broken by more than 100 pips, then it will go away, and I will go back. This 500 lookout period, it goes 500 candles back. So after 500 it will stop drawing. So let's go with 1,000 and let's see what we get. Maybe we got some more in the past. So now these power lines will create something very nice in terms of support and resistance. This is a daily chart, so we will have a major resistance here when the market comes to this, so around here for example, or maybe it will be around here. Maybe a new one will get created, and you noticed how the power line stopped this. We had double power lines stopped this, power line stopped this, power line stopped this. On the short side, same thing. On the support side, same thing. So these are very important lines. Now if you wanna use them more accurately, you can combine them with your Fibonacci's, your downchain channel, with the indicators, with the volume profile that we have, with all the other indicators, but they work fantastic. The factor inside them is basically based on the order flow, and it's based on fractals. So when the line is breached, you better have it removed, because it will no longer be as strong as when it was first touched. I use it in multiple occasions. Here's one of the occasions. This is Euro US weekly. You see the strong power line here that might coincide with a volume profile. On a daily, you see how it's trying to breach it, how it stopped in the past, and how it's trying to breach it now. On again another one, 60-minute chart, you see how the top, of course the euro is going up, or against the US, but there's also a huge power line here that might stop it, but it coincides with previous highs, so I usually would ignore it. I will depend on the bottom ones for the support. For example, this is a 15-minute, and you see if I reduce my volume profile, we have support here. So there is a very logical use of these power lines, and they are very unique to us. This is a 987 tick chart. For me, I use this 987 tick chart for the final confirmation. For, let's say I have a level on the 60-minute chart for a support, for example, in this area. I will mark it. That's an example. I'll go to my 987 tick chart. My 987 tick chart is the final confirmation area. So I will have a level here that will create a support, but it could be here. For example, on a smaller chart, I can see it's more supportive here. I will avoid the congestion area. So I will expect the market maybe, or the euro, to come back down a little bit. There's a VWAP, which is explained in different videos, and also we have power lines, and there might be another power line created, so I will depend on that. Meanwhile, as you see, the euro US is stuck between the green power lines and the red power lines. This indicates a sudden move, most likely a breakout. It could be up or it could be down. I don't gamble with these. I leave them alone. But there might be a move, sudden move up, a burst up, because there's a crossing of the power lines. But if the crossing of the power lines is on a small chart, the burst is small, maybe up to here or up to down here. If the crossing is on a bigger chart, you expect a bigger move. Let me see if I can find examples. It is hard to find examples because after they break, for example, there was an obvious power line here, red one crossing with the green, and look at the breakdown that happened. Maybe another one from here to here crossing, that breakdown happened. So it is hard to find them because, you know, as I mentioned earlier in this video, as the lines will disappear once you have them breached by a certain amount of pips or ticks. Let's go back to the euro and examine this. So now the euro US having this congestion area, and it's obvious with these power lines, so I leave this alone. I will wait. Unless you're a breakout trader and you have your own style, you might find this useful. I'm not a breakout trader. I used to do that, but not anymore. I'm into anticipating the market's next move, confirmation next, and then trading at the confirmation execution. So I'm not into breakouts. So I'm anticipating the euro to break out higher, but you know, it might come back lower before it goes back up. For now, I am just sitting on the sideline if I'm trading this one. Another use for these power lines are extensions. So I have a lot of members that would actually would look at the market, and they will expect the next, of course, this is for the very long term. They would expect the market to extend all the way to this power line. It could be here, depending on the time that elapses before it gets there. They would expect, if the market comes back down, for example, on the, let's look at the NAS 100, then look at the 1 day or daily profile here, weekly profile. If the market comes back down, there might be an extension all the way here. So it's been used for extensions. It's also used for support and resistance. So it is a very, very great indicator. Personally, I use it for my final entries, for my final confirmations, and I've been, as I explained, on the Euro US 987 and all the other charts. I use 987 tick chart as a final confirmation. So if I have a power line at the level that I want to trade, and I have a VWAP, and I have a DRL, and I have other indicators indicating, it will add to your accuracy. That's what I'm using it for. Here's what happened to the Euro US. Just like I explained, I was expecting a breakdown or a breakout because of the crossing of the power lines. You notice the crossing has gone. The red power lines are removed because they've been breached for more than 25 pips. You notice how the market stopped exactly at this blue line that I drew, and this was a live chart, live move. This is not after the fact, this is during I'm making the video. And you notice how it stopped at the middle VWAP corresponding with the line, and the line was taken actually from the previous 60-minute volume profile level. So you understand there's a lot of factors into this, a lot of benefits using the indicators, not only the main one, which is volume profile, but the other ones that support trading with volume profile.